Hello and welcome to the Civil Times. Today we'll discuss the editorials of 9th February. These are the articles we'll be covering. From the Hindu, you have surveying India's unemployment numbers. Now the context of this article is India's labor participation rate, very low by world standards, fell sharply after demonetization, and women bore the brunt of this. Now monthly measurement of the unemployment rate is one of the requirements of a special data dissemination standard of the IMF. The SDSS, India was one of the early signatories, was established in 1996 to help countries access the international capital markets by providing adequate economic and financial information publicly. But India complies with many requirements, but it hasn't taken the exception with the respect to measurement of unemployment. The Government of India does not produce any measure of monthly unemployment rate, nor does it have any plans to do so. Official plans to measure unemployment at an annual and quarterly frequency is in shambles. It does not befit India's claims. The biggest beneficiary of the famed this. Now, CMIE, Center for Monitoring the Indian Economy, is a private enterprise whose CEO is the author Mahesh Vyasya. You can read it here. So the CMIE is a private enterprise. It has demonstrated over the past 3 years that fast frequency measures of unemployment can be made, and that seeking an exception on the SDSS, which is your special data dissemination standard of the IMF, is unnecessary. Now, what are the highlights of Consumer Pyramids Household Survey that is carried out by your CMIE? The CMI decided to fill India's gap in generating fast frequency measures of household well-being. In 2015, in its household survey, the Consumer Pyramids Household Survey, the sample size was 172,365 compared to that of official NSSO, which was 1,0724. In both the surveys, the sample selection method has been broadly the same. Now the CPHS, see what the author is basically pointing out. What are the important facts about this CPHS, which is your Consumer Pyramids Household Survey that is carried out by CMIE, which is basically a private enterprise. In this, the author basically says that if a private entity can carry out periodic surveys on a monthly rate, then why can't the government entity, which is your NSSO, why is it forced to resort to quarterly or annual rate surveys, quarterly or annual surveys, as against CPHS or the CMIE, which is able to carry out your monthly surveys. Now, what are the important facts about this survey, CPHS? Now, the first point he mentions is the sample size. We have highlighted everything in the article. You can read it there. Sample size and a frequency both are a little higher as compared to your NSSO. Further, it is more comprehensive. It is conducted every 4 months, and plus these are more accurate. Fourth, face-to-face interviews. Face-to-face interviews are carried out using GPS-enabled smartphones. This. And fifth, validations are conducted on a real-time basis, which is mentioned here. All the validations are conducted in real time. In 2016, the CMI added the questions regarding employment and unemployment to the CPHS. Since then, CMI has been generating labor market indicators regularly and making these freely available for the public use. Now, what is the difference between the CPHS and the NSSO surveys? The reference period of the employment status of a respondent. While NSSO tries to capture the status for an entire year or for a week, the CPHS captures the status on the day of the survey itself. This could be one of the 4 factors: employed, unemployed, willing to work and actively looking for a job; unemployed, willing to work but not actively looking for a job; or unemployed but neither willing nor looking for a job. Now, since the recall period, in the CPHS as of the day of the survey, and the classification is elementary, the CPHS has been able to capture the status fairly accurately with no challenges of respondents' ability to call, recall, or interpret the status. In contrast, the NSO system is quite complex. The large CPHS sample is distributed evenly across the rural and urban regions for every week of the execution cycle. Now, what are the key findings of the survey? The key findings of the survey are that India's labor participation rate is pretty low by world standard, especially post demonetization. The average labor participation rate was 47% in January-October 2016. The world average is about 66%. Now, immediately after demonetization, November 2000, India's labor participation rate fell to 45%. That is 2% of the working are 2% of the working age population moved out of the labor market. That is a lot of people who were willing to work who decided that they did not want to work more. Now, what the data shows is that it is not the employed who lost their jobs. Rather, the employed mostly retained. It was largely the unemployed who decided that the labor market had been so badly vitiated after demonetization that they gave up looking for jobs any further. In short, they lost the hope of finding jobs in the aftermath of demonetization. Now, this is an important point to note, that it is not those who were employed who basically lost their jobs. Rather, it was those who were not employed but who had basically stopped looking for jobs any further. And this is the 2% which had fallen. See here, the average labor participation rate in January-October 2016 was 47. Immediately after demonetization, November, it fell to 45%. Further, as more and more unemployed left the labor market, the unemployment rate fell. This is because the unemployment rate is the ratio of the unemployed to the total labor force. This fall gave them misleading or least confusing signals, mostly implying that the unemployment rate was falling in a positive sense. What in the labor participation? Now, female labor. Now, there was low female labor participation because of specifically India's female labor participation rate is very low. Official statistics have also always shown that India's female is low and falling. Now, there are certain factors. Now, these can be important for your mains perspective. It gives you certain points. See, researchers have shown that this fall is because of rising household incomes that reduces the need of the women to join the labor force, increased enrollment in higher education by women, which delays the entry, and plus there are cultural and security factors. Moreover, it is nothing new that the employers are basically biased against employing women. Yeah, the higher unemployment rate faced by women is also, in spite of a very low participation rate, indicates a bias against employment women. Drawing women into the labor force by removing the impediments they face to at least bring their participation levels close to global standards is critically important for India to gain from the demographic dividend opportunity it has. This window of opportunity is available only till 2030. So that was in this article. It's an important article. Moving on, now the Indian Express. Now this is shadow boxing in Kolkata. Shadow boxing in Kolkata is in the context of the recent CBI versus the Kolkata police tussle that had taken place in Kolkata, but this was merely a shadow boxing. That is, the real boxing had taken place between the center, was it sent in the CBI, versus the West Bengal government, whose chief minister is Mamata Banerjee, under which comes your Kolkata police. Now, it must be remembered that Mamata is also eyeing for the prime minister's post. So, what the author is basically saying is that the confrontation between the central government and the government of West Bengal and over the investigation of Sharda and the Rose Valley Chit Fund Ponzi scam has thrown up a number of critical issues which require deep analysis. First, why could these are unnecessary questions which we need not go into. However, having analyzed the obvious, let us go a little deeper. The fact of the matter is that the police across the country is today generally acting as the agents of the ruling class and not as upholders of the law. Moreover, the central police organizations, which are your CBI, etc., though they are comparatively better off, in the Kolkata confrontation, policemen on both the sides were pawns. What happened was a kind of shadow boxing. The real fight was between the centre and the state government, one pushing its agenda through the CBI, the other through the state police. Such misuse of police can be prevented if it is insulated from extraneous pressures. The Supreme Court issued directions as far back as 2006 in the Prakash Singh case, who is the author here. It may be recalled that in 2013 there was a confrontation between the CBI and the Intelligence Bureau uh, over the killing of Ishrat Jahan encounter killing. This happened because the then UPA government was allegedly using the CBI to corner Gujarat's BJP leaders, who were then Narendra Modi and Amit Shah, for their alleged involvement in the killing. The shoe is on the other foot. That is, today the BJP government is at the center and the allies of Congress or the UPA is at the state. The shoe is on the other foot. It is high time that the CBI is given a legal mandate and allowed to function with a fair measure of autonomy. Moreover, the government of India should also seriously think of bringing the police and the public under the concurrent list. There has also been a radical change in the law and order scenario since the constitution was drafted. The states are not able to discharge even the normal functions, let alone deal with crimes which have interstate ramifications without the central assistance. Bringing the police and the public order in the concurrent list would only amount to giving de jure recognition to what obtains de facto on the ground. Now, before finishing this lecture, you can see that most of the editorials that we go through, you would hardly find 3 to 4 points which are of importance from the perspective of UPSC. Fine, these are opinions by these esteemed authors. We will not denigrate them. However, these are at the end opinions. You must extract points in this. For example, in this article, you have to go through the entire article to understand the context. But what is important is this last paragraph only, or these last 2 paragraphs. This is what shall be important from your UPSC perspective. Now you have to decide whether it shall be of importance in mains or prelims, and you should make notes of these 2 to 3 points. Therefore, and moreover, once you have started reading newspapers, once you have formed a habit of reading newspapers and you've done it continuously for 10 to 15 days, you'll find that the most of the editorials or the issues go on repeating every day. Therefore, newspaper reading when you start the newspapers, it will take you 3 to 4 hours to complete a paper. However, after watching these lectures, the same articles will take this time reduced to less than half an hour, because you've already understood what the context of the article is saying. Further, on your own effort, if you do it, initially if it takes 3 to 4 hours, this shall reduce to 1 hour, 1.5 hour after 10 to 15 days of continuous reading of these editorials. But rest assured that there can be nothing more important than reading newspapers for your source of current affairs. You cannot hope to understand current affairs through your current affair magazines. If you rely on these magazines, your entire understanding of current affairs will go null and void, and you will be ruined from the perspective of current affairs. Therefore, you must read the newspapers every day. And we shall also try to bring current affairs on Sunday. Now we shall be making a video. We are planning. Okay, we'll discuss that later in a separate video. We'll finish this lecture. We'll wind up this lecture today. Thank you and have a good day.